Welcome to Loremen, a podcast about local legends and obscure curiosities from days of yore. I'm James Shakeshaft.
And I'm Alasdair Beckett-King.
Alasdair, this episode comes from the south coast of England. And the story concerns legal proceedings, and I think the author was a little bit worried about legal repercussions.
This episode has more redactions than you can... Oh, well, never mind. Let's have a listen.
It's the Exmouth Summoning. Hello, Alasdair.
Hello, James.
I've got quite a treat for you.
Have you?
Yes.
Can you eat it?
Oh, no, it's not. It is inedible.
Is it like... now I'm getting flashbacks to getting like a jumper from my gran for Christmas.
What a lovely gran. Was it hand knitted with Bart Simpson on it?
with a copyright infringing Bart Simpson?
Yes.
Yes, it was.
That sounds lovely. Well, you could probably eat that in a pinch.
It's organic.
Actually, I suppose technically you can eat paper. You probably shouldn't. I think you definitely shouldn't, but you can eat it.
Right.
I've got a tale, because it's October. It's a story from haunted England by friend of the show, Christina Hole.
Christina Hole.
Christina Hole. And this story, I think is going to appeal to you because it's spooky, but it starts off as a dream. And it's very much acknowledged that it's a dream.
Okay. All right.
But then things get, for want of a better word, interesting.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, what are we on? About episode 300? It's about time we did something interesting.
For want of a better word.
Every previous episode was just set up for this.
So this is from a chapter called Unknown Ghosts from Haunted England by Christina Hole. Would you like a quick rundown of some of the other chapter titles?
Go on, yes.
It is the book of the month. The Threshold of Death. Ghosts of the Great. Traditional Tales. Violent Death.
Nice.
Quiet Ghosts. Unknown Ghosts. Coaches and Horsemen. Animal Ghosts and Poltergeist. And Poltergeist. Poltergeist.
And a poltergrouse.
Which should be under Animal Ghosts, really.
Yeah, it's just a noisy grouse.
It's a cheeky grouse.
So unknown ghosts, that seems terribly broad.
Well, the story before this one that I'm about to tell you, it features a guy called John Thomas who lives in St. Just. He falls down a well and then a ghost appears sitting at the top of the well. And then people go up to see it. The ghost disappears, and then they hear the guy that's fallen down the well. The guy that's fallen down the well has been rescued. Kind of a sort of a ghost lassie in a way.
Yeah, a kindly ghost.
Well, the story I'm going to tell you, it was originally published in Strange Things Among Us by Henry Spicer back in 1863.
Was that a regular periodical, Strange Things Among Us?
I think it's quite a big book. I managed to find it for free on the internet, but legitimately for free because it's really old. Now, the annoying thing about this book's index, it's got a contents page, really interesting story names, no numbers.
The contents page doesn't have page numbers?
No, it just lists all the things that happen in the book in order.
When was it published?
1863.
They definitely knew how books worked.
They had numbers.
they had numbers, and they had the concept of a contents page. That's absurd.
There's like the Silver Knell, phenomena of the death chamber, other alleged omens.
Is that like the Fortean Society's version of any other business?
Conjectural examples in the cases of Colonel B and Colonel M. I don't even know what this one's called, because this is one of those old books where they've sort of omitted the names by just putting the first letter and then a line.
Not a long line, yeah.
But it makes it seem like it swears.
Yep.
The modern fashion is to just say the first letter of a swear word. So you don't actually say the swear word, but you make the person you're talking to think the swear word in their own head.
Yeah. That's how it works.
Like, I've just S'd the bed.
Yes.
For example.
Or the S-Town podcast.
The S-Town podcast.
Which in the 19th century would just be a town beginning with S that they wanted to keep anonymous.
Yes. Yeah, so there's stories of Lord C and Colonel B and Flight Lieutenant MF.
There are a load of W's in my view.
The Monk of Payern. Trance vision at the hotel. That sounds like an advert for a dance night that you might see tied to a host at a zebra crossing.
There's quite a few spooky genres of music. There's also house. That's a classic location for a haunting. And garage. You can have a haunted garage.
Is there such thing as haunted house music?
I'd love to include some haunted house music in the episode, but I think it's beyond my musical capabilities, which are zero.
It's a classic 4 on the floor, but underneath there is a Native American burial ground.
Soul music, that's also quite spooky because the soul persists after death.
Exactly.
There's loads of spooky music genres.
Yeah.
EDM, there's probably like a meter you can get, like an EDM meter. There's like beep, 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 beep. Ooh.
Extraordinarily demonic mutterings is what that stands for. So I've got no idea what Henry Spicer wanted to call this story because there's no even gaps between stories. It's simply a paragraph gap and then he's on to something else. This story is about a young undergraduate of Cambridge, Mr. D. That's a rude one.
Yep.
He's gone on holiday to Exmouth. They've given the full name there, so we can be assured the town is not slandered.
Exmouth's going to come out of this looking rosy.
And as Henry Spicer points out, as many readers are aware, the River Exe is crossed by a ferry communicating with the Starcross Station on the Great Western Railway.
Oh, that's a nice name, the Starcross Station.
It is. It's quite romantic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Some of the other less romantic place names around there include Cockwood.
That's Seawood.
Sorry, yes, Seawood, Limpstone, and I quite like the sound of this one, Powderham. Probably pronounced Powderham.
That's from the Second World War where you have to just add water and then you can mix yourself up a punnet of ham.
No one rehydrates a ham like you, Ma. It's, of course, a Back to the Future 2 reference.
Well done, well done.
For once. Righty-ho. Back to the story. So our Cambridge undergraduate, Mr. D, is on holiday. He's asleep. And between 12 and 1 o'clock is suddenly awoken with the impression that he's just been spoken to by an imperative voice that was saying with such distinctness that the last word still rang upon his ear. And the voice said, what sort of voice do you think this voice should have? You choose.
I get a sort of...
Oh, that sort of spooky. Okay.
Yeah, sort of trembling kind of sepulchral voice.
Okay. Go down to the ferry. And he thought, that's a dream. I'm going to go back to sleep.
Good for you. That's what I would have done.
And then the command is repeated. Go down to the ferry. The boatman waits. Oh, I've injured myself doing that voice.
Is the coughing part of it, or is
no? That is
the Urian character as the ghost?
Model's own. There was something about this that the young man thought was impossible to disregard. Or the fact it's happened twice, and there's definitely a ferry nearby. But it's the middle of the night. There's not going to be any ferryman there, right?
Right.
You'd think, especially as the ferry stays in Starcross on the other side of the river, Exe. That is the name of the river. That is not having its identity hidden. And he's in Exmouth. If he goes down to the ferry, it's just going to be an empty ferry port. But he can't get back to sleep.
Well, not after he heard that out-of-work actor voice speaking to him twice.
He walks down to the ferry. To his astonishment, he hears the boatman, whose hoarse voice was heard through the darkness, hailing him impatiently. Well, you've kept me waiting long enough tonight, I think. I've stopped nigh on an hour for you. I don't know why the boatman's from London. I just wanted to make it clear it wasn't the same voice as earlier.
It's a different voice, right?
Yeah. So it seems the ferryman too had heard a voice, but he just thought it was some bloke shouting at him from across the river.
Right.
Rather than some sort of dream. So he got in his ferry, ferried across, and then this guy turns up and he's like, oh, here you are. Come on. Get in the ferry, mate.
That is extremely good of him to do that.
Yeah. So they shipped him across in the ferry to Starcross, to the train station. And then Spicer describes Exeter. Exeter. Exeter was the word that kept continually reverberating, as it were, in his mental ear, like a summoning bell. Now, I don't know if they had station tannoys in those days, but that will probably make a little bit more sense. But he's got the idea to go to Exeter. So he does. And it being only 8 or 10 miles, reached that good city at about dawn. So he gets off at Exeter and he doesn't know what to do now. There's no more voices ringing in his head, in his mental ear, telling him where to go.
Yeah.
So he just sort of wanders around Exeter for a bit. And then he's like, a bit peckish. And he finds a hotel to go and get some breakfast. And then he thinks, and then I'll catch the train back to Starcross, then the ferry back across to Exmouth, and then I'll go back to bed.
Yeah.
And he orders his breakfast, and the waiter's very slow to bring his breakfast. And he kind of calls him up on it. And the waiter's like, I'm really sorry, but it's very exciting because the Azizes are in town. And so the hotel is full.
Oh.
Yeah. You know what the Azizes are? The Azizes.
Well, the word has come up several times in the podcast, but I don't think I really know what it means. Is it like a sort of court?
As far as I understand, basically, if you had a wrong 'un in your town, you'd lock them up, and once a month, a sort of a travelling judge would come round and do their judging. And those were the Azizes.
A bit of a showman.
Yes. And those were the Azizes.
The Azizes. So they'd just be held in one of those little prisons in the middle of the street that are just one tiny little building.
Yes. Now, Mr. D had heard nothing of the Azizes and took but little interest in the subject. Seeing, however, that the waiter regarded it as an event of considerable importance, he good-humouredly encouraged him to continue the theme, and was rewarded with a very amusing history of such cases as had already been disposed of, as well as with the waiter's own views concerning those yet to be tried. So he's kind of gone, Azizes, is it? Which is easy for me to say. Is it Azizes, is it?
I didn't realise he was played by Harry H. Corbett / David Bowie.
It was an inflected, it was a Bowie-inspired performance, but they couldn't get the rights to the songs. So they're called things like Life on M - S City.
I think it's an M dash, I think, rather than a hyphen. But I'm just James, that's not me correcting you. I'm just saying that in case one of the pedants comes after you, because I wouldn't want that. I'm on your side.
You take no pleasure in that correction.
And also, it might not be an M dash, in which case I've really put a target on my back.
So he's listening, and you know when someone's really interested in a topic, and they tell you about it a lot. Sometimes it can be very boring, but sometimes it can become interesting. Their interest kind of rubs off on you. Hopefully, the listeners of our podcast understand that feeling, and hopefully, any new listeners do. Welcome.
Yeah, hello.
And so he thought, you know what? I might go check out these Azizes.
I'm going to go see the Azizes.
I might see what's going on with the Azizes.
Let's go see the Azizes.
He's voiced by a big dog.
Yes, he was played by David Bowie for the first part, but couldn't afford him for the whole thing, and now it's just a large dog.
So they just got a golden retriever.
It's pretty much the same.
I'll go and get your stick later on my own terms.
Sorry, is that from when... before we replaced David Bowie with a dog, but we were still throwing sticks for him to fetch?
Yeah. I think we kind of got the idea that we weren't going to keep David Bowie for the entirety of this story, and that we would therefore have to replace him here with a big dog. So we kind of got him to do dog stuff.
Yeah. David Bowie, stop chasing squirrels.
Yeah, David Bowie, stop dragging your bum over the carpet.
Bowie, stop that.
Hit Bowie's nose with a newspaper. I just want to nuzzle your crotch for a short time. I don't know which one that is now. Anyway.
Let's go and see the Azizes.
Yeah, so he goes to the Azizes.
He goes to the Azizes.
He goes to see the Azizes. And as he gets in, I'll allow Henry Spicer to take over again. The case just commencing seemed to create unusual excitement. The prisoner at the bar, who was in the dress of a carpenter, I guess that's sort of white overalls rather than Jesus, who's the only sort of carpenter I could think that had a distinct outfit.
He's the only carpenter I remember wearing a dress.
Apart from a lady carpenter, you daft sexist.
Yeah, that's true. That is true, yeah. I can't think of a single female carpenter, apart from that one out of the Carpenters.
Apart from Karen.
Yeah, apart from Karen.
Or, to be honest, just a carpenter that wants to wear a dress. Come on.
Yep. No, I've learned several lessons.
It's 2022.
It is. 2022. This time it wasn't 2022.
No, it's 1863. And
1863.
So the chain of evidence against him, though circumstantial, was complete, and a conviction seemed inevitable. This prisoner's got no defense, as an American would say, or defense, as I would say.
Yeah.
Or defense, as Harry H. Corbett playing David Bowie would say.
Yep. Or as a dog replacing David Bowie would say.
The big dog that we got to replace David Bowie would say, yes. Everyone's saying, have you got an alibi? He quietly replies. Now, what voice should I use for this one?
I think this guy's actually innocent, so I think you want like a voice of an honest, earnest voice, like your own voice.
It's impossible that I could have committed this crime.
Classic James Shakeshaft voice.
That sounds like an even bigger big dog. Now, I'm going to do it as a normal person.
The circumstantial evidence is overwhelming. We've got paw prints all over the crime scene. It must have been you, dog carpenter.
A dog would make a terrible carpenter.
Yeah, constantly chasing the bits of wood.
Yeah, constantly distracted. But this human carpenter says, it's impossible that I could have committed this crime because on the day and at the hour it took place, I was sent for to mend the sash line of a window at Mr. GM's house. At M, there is one gentleman, he added after a pause, who could prove that I was there, but I don't know who he is, nor where to have him looked for. Yes, I know he could prove my innocence for a particular reason that would remind him of me. But there, I can't help it. The Lord's will be done. And the poor fellow, with a sigh, appeared to resign himself to his fate.
Shame they're never going to find that guy, I think.
They could have done something, like ring up Mr. GM.
Yeah, they could have asked him this question earlier.
Yes.
Pre-Azizes.
Pre-Azizes. And all this time, Mr. D had been listening with profound attention to the progress of the trial. And when the prisoner concluded his sad and hopeless address, he started and looked earnestly at him. And he started to have a memory. He knew Mr. GM.
What?
And he had gone to pay a visit to his friend at M. And Mr. GM was away, but he really wanted to have a chat with him. So Mr. D decided to await his return, and for that purpose had gone up to his friend's library, meaning to beguile the interval with a book, which is a lovely turn of phrase.
Are you beguiling the interval in there?
Are you beguiling the interval with a wordle? So he goes up to the library to get a book. In there, he finds a carpenter fixing the sash window, and he starts to have a chat to him. And this is testament to Mr. D's personality. The carpenter says something so interesting that Mr. D wants to write it down. So he gets his pocketbook out, but he hasn't got a pencil. And what do carpenters definitely have?
Behind their ears?
Stuck behind their ears, a cigarette. Also, on the other ear, a pencil.
A pencil, yeah.
He gives him the pencil.
Throws it for him, and he bounds after it.
And he says, oh, you can keep it, sir. And it's one of those carpenter's pencils, you know, with the square sides that are really, really lovely to write with. Very, very reassuring to hold in your hand.
But only carpenters are allowed to buy them.
Exactly. And Mr. D is like, I can prove this man's innocence. So he gets himself sworn in as a witness, recounts that story, produces the pencil from his pocket, and the carpenter gets off.
I mean, it doesn't. The pencil doesn't really prove anything there.
It's a carpenter's pencil. It's got square sides.
So that proves that he has a carpenter's pencil. If the other guy had said, I gave him a pencil.
Yeah, and Mr. D is vouching for him.
Yeah, but it's his testimony. It's his evidence that this happened.
The other guy didn't say that he'd given him a pencil. For some reason, he's really vague.
That's what I'm saying, James. If he had said, I gave him a pencil, and the other guy said, look, here's the pencil, that would be compelling. But him having not said that, then the pencil doesn't prove anything.
Well, it does.
Doesn't.
Well, it did.
It doesn't. It doesn't tell us anything. All right, carry on.
That's it. That's the end.
All right.
The guy got off.
The guy got off. I'm sorry I ruined that with pedantry. Well, it's good, because he sounded innocent.
But Henry Spicer sums it up by saying, it is difficult to meet a sufficiently authenticated case of this description otherwise than with the simple confession that God's ways are not our ways.
No.
Or something pedant about a pencil is it's what it should say underneath.
It should say the pencil didn't actually prove anything there, and an M dash is the name of the long version of a hyphen.
Probably scribbled in with a particularly fat pencil. would you like to hear Christina Hole's assessment?
Yes, please.
Today, we should perhaps suggest telepathy as a possible explanation, but if so, it may be that we're merely using modern and more scientific words to describe what amounts in the end to very much the same thing. Yeah, one of them scientific words, telepathy. Nice one, Christina Hole. So, questions? That's the end of the tale.
It raises many. It raises many questions.
But I do have, actually, a little side tale also from Haunted England by Christina Hole. This is from The Threshold of Death. And the introduction, one other dream may be recorded here, if only for the sake of its sheer glorious pointlessness. So basically, a chap called Joseph Wilkins in 1754 was an usher at a school in Ottery St. Mary.
I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry to interrupt you so early on in the story. What's an usher in a school?
Don't know. They say, kids, sit down.
Yeah, but it's not like, you there, Jimkins, I'll take you to your seat. There you go. You sit down and now another child. That's an incredibly inefficient system.
Are you with the headmaster or with the headmistress? So he dreamt he was going to London and decided to visit his home in Gloucestershire first. And he goes there and he finds the front door locked, so he goes round the back. No one's downstairs, so he goes up to his parents' bedroom where he finds his father sleeping, but his mother's still awake. And he says to her, "Mother, I'm going on a long journey and I'm come to bid you goodbye." She was very frightened and answered, "Oh dear son, thou art dead." At this point, he woke up and subsequently thought no more of the matter.
Yeah.
A few days later, he receives a letter from his father begging him, if he was still alive, to write at once. And if he was already dead, whoever reads the letter would answer it. And it went on to say that even if he lived, he would not be spared for long, for his mother had already seen his wraith.
Oh, dear.
The mum had been lying awake with her husband sleeping beside her. All the things that he dreamt had happened to his mum. She heard someone try in the front door. She heard someone come in the back door, walk up the stairs. It was her son saying, "I'm about to go on a long journey." And then he disappeared.
I'm about to go on a long journey.
We ain't getting Bowie to do the pointless side story. And nothing happened to the guy. He lived a long, normal life, told that story.
Oh, right. So it was just a kind of astral projection.
Just goes to show, sometimes.
Just ghost to show.
Oh, lovely stuff.
Well done.
Oh, that is very nice.
It just goes to show.
Just goes to show. I think that's another way of, pointing out that God's ways are not our ways.
They are not our ways.
No.
We're just two simple men who trained a dog to impersonate David Bowie. We could not comprehend the vast complexity of the world's creator.
If you want to use scientific terms like training a dog to be David Bowie. So that's the end of the tale, the double tale.
Very spooky and seemingly quite well researched. Like they sound like things that might actually have happened this time.
This is not my work. Christina Hole's work.
Christina Hole's work. Well done, Christina.
So you ready to score me or something?
I'd love to score you or something.
Let's do it then. Okay, category number 1, numero uno.
Okay. Wait, are you just saying number 1, or is the first category numero uno? No,
it is. I'm just saying it in a bit of a funny way.
Right. Okay. Are you saying you think Spanish people talk funny, James?
No, I was saying it like I'd say about the card game.
Okay, you were thinking of the card game. All right. What's the first category?
Naming.
There was a distinct lack of names. There were D's, and there was Mr. GM, and there was the town of M.
Yeah.
And there was Exmouth. We don't know what X stands for.
We don't know what it used to be. No, we know what it used to be. We don't know what it is now.
Yeah.
We've got Starcross, Cockwood.
Starcross is really good. And Cockwood, yes.
Limpstone. Powdered ham. Powder ham.
Remind me what powder ham is again?
Powderham. It's probably pronounced Powderham.
Powderham. Right, okay. It's a place name, is it?
Yes.
Right, I see.
Annoyingly, when I saw it, I was like, oh, Exmouth. That's on the south coast. That's pretty sure. Is it? Could it be in the county of? No.
It's not in Dorset.
No. It's next Dorset. It's in it's in Devon after all that.
No.
Yeah. We've got Henry Spicer. We've got David Bowie. We've got Dog David Bowie.
All right. I think it's a 3 because you had 3 really good names.
And powdered ham.
And powdered ham, yeah.
Christina Hole. Can't use her. We can't use her.
Nope, she's already been used.
Exempt.
You have to wait for that to recharge.
Mm.
Maybe next month, once the tariff rolls over.
Oh, it's a Christina Hole rollover.
Yeah. Yes, it will be for one lucky person.
In which case, we'll move on to category 2, supernatural.
Really high.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a ghost. We've got a man who is a ghost himself and witnesses to his astral projecting.
Mm-hmm.
2 witnesses.
One witness. The husband was asleep.
1 witness and a sleeping witness.
Yeah. That's not really a witness.
Still, any witnesses is impressive.
Yeah. They were moved to write a letter. Imagine being moved to write a letter nowadays. Whew, that's got to be something that's pretty special.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't do it. You wouldn't get an email out of me just because I saw a ghost.
Would it be just a WhatsApp? You okay, hun?
At best, yeah. It would be one of those animated GIF replies of a ghost. I wouldn't even bother giving any information.
Fair enough.
Just be my way of saying, you're about to die.
Sorry.
The other story also has 2 witnesses.
2 witnesses to the second story?
There were, yes. Well, there's the guy who was woken by the hoarse voice, and then there was the other hoarse-voiced man, the boatman. They both heard a mystery voice.
Maybe the carpenter was as well. He just didn't bother mentioning it because he really left out a lot of important facts.
Yes, he was really not making any effort to not be imprisoned.
For murder.
For murder as well. I'd forgotten it was murder.
Pretty sure it was murder.
We're probably talking about hanging.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just like, oh, well, I didn't do it, but I'm not going to defend myself. So,
There's probably someone who could say I'm innocent, but I no idea how to find them.
Here's an animated GIF. That's sort of what's he going to get out of me. No, that's lazy of him. And also the ghost in the well was a similar kind of spirit, a helpful spirit.
Oh, yes.
To reveal that something had happened. Ghost Lassie.
It helped. Yes. A human ghost lassie.
Yeah. Played by David Bowie, the dog. I think it's 5 out of 5 for supernatural.
Yes, I think so too.
It's very good.
Did you have a voice wake you in the night saying, give him 5 out of 5?
And I just went straight back to sleep, paid no attention to it.
Get on a ferry. Huh? The boatman awaits. That's pretty cool turn of phrase.
That is,
anyway,
yeah, it's great.
I've still got 5 out of 5. I'm just doing a victory lap now.
Yeah.
Third cat. I want Moon Age Daydream as my category. Because it's named after a Bowie song.
Yeah.
And there's all this talk of dreams and so on.
The dreams do happen during the night.
Yeah, a Moon Age Daydream.
The age of the moon.
Is night.
Is nighttime.
Yep.
That's how we describe nighttime, isn't it?
The dusk of the day is the dawn of the night. Is it the noon of night?
Yeah, all right. You've caught me out with the noon of night before. So I'm on the back foot.
So I'm after points for the dream aspect and the Bowie-ness.
Yeah, okay.
That we sort of shoehorned in.
Yeah, I'm not sure where that came from, but he does creep in now and again.
And he's played by, in this case, it was a split role, half played by Harry H. Corbett, half played by Big Dog.
By a really big dog, yeah. Which is a newcomer to the podcast, the Big Dog.
Yeah.
Harry H. Corbett is a regular.
In a way, I could have called this category David Bowie.
That's way better than David Boney, which is all I could come up with.
The only other things I had is that obviously is actually a song by him called Diamond Dogs.
Oh, yeah.
And the cover of that had a half Bowie, half dog hybrid painting.
Oh, yeah.
He did do a song called Cat People. And I suppose dogs in a way are cat people because they just love them. They love chasing after them.
That's a stretch.
And a song called 5 Years, which is how many dog years there are to a human year.
That is a lie. You've just lied now. I think it's pretty good, but it's also a little bit cheeky because you've clearly just combined 2 things together. So it's a 4. So what's your final category?
My final category, who's Aziz's Aziz?
All right, it's a strong opening for that category.
Oh.
Who's Aziz's Aziz?
Who's Aziz's Aziz? Who's Aziz's Aziz?
Aziz, you're Aziz's. Well, I mean, I enjoyed the Aziz's, but it was only a small part of the episode, I think. Most of the story didn't take place at the Aziz's.
But it was the culmination. It was what the voice was leading him to, ultimately. Exeter. And then he had to go and meet a waiter who gave him the last little bit of the clue. But the Azizis were the whole crux of the matter.
No, I think they were the setting for the story to unfold.
Okay, here we go. I'm reaching into my pocket and I'm pulling out.
Yeah, what?
A pencil.
Is it a square pencil?
It's a square carpenter's pencil. Proof, if proof be need be, that should be a 5.
That is proof if proof be need be. It's 5 out of 5.
Yeah.
How could I argue with such a convincing argument as a pencil?
Oh, such a lovely pencil. We've got a triangular pencil. Those are pretty satisfying. And you wouldn't want to write an essay with one of them rectangular. So, all in all, 5 out of 5 was that because of the pencil?
Yes, 5 out of 5. Well done.
Yeah.
I have to say, James, I think we learned a lot about David Bowie, considering this was a 19th century story that doesn't feature David Bowie.
Do you want more of this?
Hey, if you want extras, you can sign up at patreon.com/loremenpod.
Yes, there's loads of bonus episodes on the Patreon.
And you can come and see us live at the Bill Murray on the 31st of October.
2022. Come see us at the BM in A in L. Yeah? Or on youtube.com/loremenpod. Why? I probably shouldn't ask that question. The Loremen live again.
4 out of 5. That's how a dog would say that.
And that sounds like a dog that's playing Tommy Cooper. From what I've seen, he looked like he was being played by a dog in a human costume.
Yes, a sort of puppet controlled by a dog, yes.